Hi Aries, welcome to your September 2020 Astro Alchemy. It's Raina here. And so as the month begins, you may be feeling very practical, wanting to be organized, getting organized. Maybe you're looking for a job or you're focused on your work, especially at this time. This can be more of a health-oriented time for you. It may be a time where you're organizing your day, organizing how you structure your life, how you schedule yourself. Because the Sun and Mercury are both in the 6th house of all of those things. Diet, health, work, and organization. Now, Aries is the astrological new year, whenever that is, the equinox time. And so you are the leader of the universal chart. You rule the 1st house. So Virgo is the 6th house in the universal chart. And so for you to have not only this transit now, but it being in its actual sign, that to me gives it an extra emphasis of those qualities. And if that makes sense, I'm sure some of you know what I mean. Sorry, I shouldn't have even brought it up, but in any case, I just feel like there's a very strong, like, get back to work vibe, because the house preceding it is the 5th house, which is about fun and pleasure. It's Leo's house. And so it's like having your fun, playing hard, and then working hard. I actually had that as your title for last month's astro forecast. And this is like taking it in a full-blown way, because it's going to be the theme for a lot of September. The Sun goes into Libra on the 22nd. So on the 2nd of September, we have a full moon at 10 degrees of Pisces. Pisces is the opposite sign of Virgo. So it rules the 12th house, which is a mystical house and is dealing with things from past lives, maybe your intuitive time, your subconscious or unconscious mind that really comes alive at night when the conscious mind has gone to sleep. And so this can be about prophecy. This can be about letting go of bad habits, because the 12th house is a house of self-undoing, and because it's ruled by Neptune, it has a connection to addiction. So this can be a great transit for people who are looking to break a bad habit. And the reason I say this is because it's hard enough to break a bad habit and have to kind of like really grin and bear it. But when you have astrological assistance, it can make it a little bit easier to let go, because the full moon can make you aware of what it is that is holding you back. And if that is what is holding you back, it can make it easier for you to just say, this is ruining my life. And it also, the full moon, it has a purifying, it's supposed to have a purifying effect. And this is why, religious people have fasted at the time of the full moon because of that. I went to Kundalini Yoga, and they fast. I think they fast on the full and the new moons. But at the very least, it can make you aware of the kind of things that hold you back and keep you from achieving all that you want to achieve. I think that Aries is one of those signs that's very proactive. And so I've always thought about doing a video about addictions and the different signs. And I think that, not to say that Aries people can't get addicted to things. But I think that they are more capable than some other signs of quitting and, changing their life, because that's part of what Aries is all about, is doing new things, taking new action. Aries is not stuck in the past. And the 12th house, talk about past. I mean, this could be past lifetimes. And sometimes people seem to be stuck in that cycle of past lives and feeling that they're kind of like they have to do things or doing things kind of automatically. And I think it's because of that 12th house influence that they are not even aware that they have another choice, that they're doing something over and over again. They just do it. And so that can be a great opportunity. On the 5th, Mercury goes into Libra. So that's the 7th house. And that can deal with legal matters. It can deal with romantic situations. For instance, making wedding plans. Mercury may have something to do with that. It's a great time to talk to your partner because you're going to be like wanting to hear their point of view. Aries is a fire sign, not to mention ruling the first house, and so you may get accused sometimes of being a bit self-centered. And this is true for all of us who are fire signs. I'm a Sag. That we tend to focus on the self, not in a narcissistic way, but just because that's the way that we, it has to do with creativity a lot of times, I think. Creative self-expression. So being able to still care about what somebody else thinks, yes, that is important. And that might be something that you are needing to do for some reason. On the 6th, Venus goes into Leo, fellow fire sign. So that's really good too. Now, one thing I want to say is that Libra, that's a nice angle too. That's a sextile. So these things flow more easily, trines and sextiles. Leo is a trine, and this is going into the house of pleasure, the 5th house. So you do still have some stuff happening in that 5th house. That's why I said it's all over the map here. And Venus in the 5th house can be wanting to spend money on the theater, concerts, anything that you find pleasurable. This can be art. Maybe you're spending money on art, spending money on taking art classes or art supplies, because the 5th house can be a house of hobbies or creative self-expression. And so anything along those lines, this is a great transit for love. And romantic love, bringing the romance into it. On the 9th, your ruler, Mars, retrogrades. I should have said that that's one of the big news pieces about September, is that your ruler goes retrograde in your own sign, by the way. So this is on September 9th, and so that's in the 1st house. And, one thing that I should say about the 1st house is that it can be the body. And some Aries people, I wonder if Aries has a tendency to be bodybuilders, or definitely boxers, because that's a form of competition, and Aries likes competition. The 5th house is the house of sports. But with Venus there, I don't see something that's very aggressive. Mars is very aggressive. And maybe working out, maybe you've been reshaping your body and things like that. But when Mars goes retrograde, you may find that you don't have a lot of will to do so, or that you're being thwarted in some way. And it's especially important for people who are Aries with Mars retrograde that you do become aware of the fact that you might have a tendency to get more frustrated than usual because you're already very impatient and you don't like delays and you don't like anything standing in your way. And so that can cause you to become even more like irascible, but especially internalizing that and just being very irritable and very, however that would show up for you. So in general, you may feel like things that you're trying to do, not just, I guess it would be like more like actions that you're trying to take, that they're not really flowing the way that they normally do. Just understand that these cycles that we experience with astrology are like the cycles in life, where sometimes everything seems to be flowing and it's great, and then sometimes it's like molasses, trying to make things happen. And the problem, cardinal signs are very good at initiating things and, having a lot of energy. Aries has energy to spare, but the ability to know when to pull back has to be really exercised. And so these times when things are, that they all seem like they're blocking you from accomplishing certain things, if you try and you can't make it work, then you have to let go. You can't just keep butting against it. And I feel like this is one of the most valuable things about learning what the transits are, is that not so much that you become obsessed with it and you don't have free will, but that you encounter something that just seems like it's a no-go, no matter how much you try, you remember, oh yeah, that's right, we're having a Mercury retrograde, and it doesn't make you feel confused about life. You at least have something to latch onto, to know maybe the time frame of when this is going to end and when things will start to free up again. And this transit will end around November 13th. So we're talking a little bit over 2 months. And, that's not that bad. It's pretty quick. On the 12th, Jupiter goes direct at 17 degrees of Capricorn. And Capricorn is your 10th house of career. So that's very interesting because we're looking at Jupiter going direct about 3 days after Mars goes retrograde. And the interesting thing about that is that Jupiter has been in your sign, in your house, the house that you rule, the 10th house of career. So you may have noticed that your career trajectory has slowed down a little bit, and maybe you've had to just kind of look for other opportunities in the meantime. Now that Mars has gone retrograde and Jupiter has gone direct, you may start to experience a greater sense of expansion, but you'll also experience it without the same aggression that you usually bring to everything that you do. So I was going to say it's like being neutered in a sense, but not in a bad way, in a way that can create a bit of balance in your life. Because you know how, it's kind of like one of the things that I really dislike is going into a certain type of store and there's like a salesperson and they pounce right on you and they're like very aggressive and they're trying to make the sale. And I used to be in that type of work, and I was always conscious of that, of not being too aggressive, but we were pushed to do that. And so you can't not do anything. So the point is that these kinds of like attitudes towards career, towards a job, where people think that I'm going to just like give it my all and I'm going to just do this, it can work to a certain extent, but then it's like you're imposing your will on the universe. And when you let go of that, or if you're forced to let go of that for some reason, you may start to see miracles. You may see that you didn't have to try so hard. That it was good that you're very energetic and driven, because I think Mars is about your drive, but sometimes you have to be more, it has to be more of an internalized thing, where you are driven to, be peaceful instead of aggressive. You're driven to allow things to come to you sometimes. Maybe not all the times, but, having more of a balance, in other words. On the 17th, we have a new moon at 25 degrees of Virgo. So that's in your 6th house of work. So there may be something going on too. I mean, with Jupiter direct in the 10th, and then the new moon in the 6th house, both of these are connected to work. So I don't know if some of you are looking for work, and this is going to indicate that. Jupiter, another thing about Jupiter going direct in the 10th house, the 10th house can be authority figures. So maybe you have been trying to curry the favor of a former employer so that they can be a good reference for you in getting a new job. And you with Jupiter direct, you finally hit gold. You finally get that phone call. Saturn goes direct on the 29th of the month. And that's good too, because, that's also in the 10th house. So you've had a lot of 10th house activity because Saturn went back into Capricorn. And it will be, Saturn will be in that sign in Capricorn until close to the winter solstice, or you could just say solstice in December. So we're looking at another 3 plus almost 4 months. So yeah, this seems like, I was saying that there's a lot of different things, but it does seem very career and work focused. And I keep forgetting, but the sun goes into Libra on the 22nd, and that is your 7th house of committed partnership. So maybe with Mercury also in that house, you're planning a wedding, or if not your wedding, your child's wedding, or I don't know, some kind of commitments coming up, issues surrounding that, maybe talking about getting married, or when I say getting married, moving in, things like that. One thing I just want to say is that the equinox, which is the sun going into Libra, in this case, is a very powerful period, the cardinal signs. And so this is definitely one of those turning points in the year where we see increased energy and a change, like a new beginning of sorts. So that for you is in that 7th house, which is the other. So that might be a theme for you going into October. Okay, Aries, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this. And if you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.